My brother ruined my college fund to buy crypto. My parents said, it was just a mistake, so I made one too. I accidentally told Grandma about it. At Easter, on camera. Now he's blocked from the will. You ever watch your whole future evaporate in the time it takes someone to say, my bad? That was me. Standing in the kitchen, holding the empty college account statement in one hand and a warm mug of betrayal in the other. That's not a metaphor. It was actual coffee. And my brother, Kyle, 26 male, was standing across from me, shrugging like he'd just dropped a glass, not detonated my entire future. I didn't think it would crash that fast, he said, scratching the back of his neck. It was supposed to be a dip. A dip. Like my education was just a bag of chips waiting for his investment to sweeten the flavor. Let me rewind a bit. I'm Jordan, 19 male, supposed to be college freshman, recent high school valedictorian, full of plans and debt avoidance dreams. My family's not rich. We're lower middle class with bursts of generosity around Christmas. But I had one golden ticket, my grandpa's college fund. Started the day I was born. My mom's dad, old man Don, set aside a chunk of his pension and added to it every birthday, every holiday. By the time I graduated, there was $74,000 waiting for me. I was going to state school. That money, it would have covered everything. Tuition, housing, books, even that overpriced meal plan with the sad chicken nuggets. But then Kyle happened. Kyle, the golden boy. Kyle, the tech whiz who dropped out of college to build a brand. Kyle, who once tried to sell NFTs of our dog. My parents always said he was special, as in, don't mind Kyle, he's just special. He's also somehow never had a real job longer than 6 months. But when he talks, people listen, especially my dad, who thinks Bitcoin is the new real estate. Apparently, a few months ago, Kyle pitched them this idea, to take a small portion of the college fund and invest in crypto, just until the market stabilizes. What my parents didn't tell me is that small portion turned into everything, all of it, gone. They didn't even tell me when they did it. I found out because I logged into the account to pay my deposit and saw a balance of $12. 45 minutes later, Kyle finally admitted the truth in the most Kyle way imaginable by telling me it was a lesson in adapting to financial volatility. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just shut down. My mom was wringing her hands, saying it was a mistake, that Kyle meant well, that I should understand. He's family. My dad? He just kept saying, it's just money. We'll figure something out. But I had figured something out. My whole life, I had spreadsheets of my future. I had backup majors. I had a 5-year plan laminated in my desk drawer. I had earned that future. And Kyle had YOLO'd it into a dog-themed meme coin because some guy on Reddit said it was the next big thing. For 3 days, I didn't speak to any of them. I barely slept. And then Easter came. Grandma's Easter. The one day where everyone gets dressed up like we actually like each other and eats ham in awkward silence while pretending everything's fine. But it wasn't fine. Not anymore. And I made a mistake too. I told Grandma, on camera, she had just passed me the mashed potatoes. That's when I said it. Hey Grandma, did you know Kyle used my college fund to buy crypto? Lost all 74 grand. The fork in her hand froze halfway to her mouth. Everyone else at the table? Dead quiet. You could hear Connor, Kyle's 4-year-old, smacking applesauce across his plate like it was a damn drum set. My mom gasped. My dad choked on his wine. Kyle turned pale, like Ghost in a horror movie pale. Grandma? She slowly put her fork down, wiped her mouth with her cloth napkin, and turned her full wrath onto her oldest grandson. What did you just say? She asked, voice calm in that terrifying way church ladies get when they're about to flip the table over in the Lord's name. Kyle started stammering. No, he's exaggerating. It wasn't like that. I'm not exaggerating, I snapped. My hands were shaking under the table, but my voice held. He used every penny, thought he could flip it for double. Lost everything. My entire future. Why would he even have access to your fund? Grandma asked, turning sharply toward my mom. And that was the moment my mom broke. You could see it. The tight lips, the teary eyes, like she was still trying to play peacemaker but also knew the house of lies was on fire. We let him, she whispered. You what? Grandma's voice went full military command. She was a retired nurse, raised 5 kids in a 2-bedroom house after Grandpa died. She once stitched up my uncle's leg with a first aid kit and a bottle of whiskey. You don't mess with Grandma. It was supposed to be a temporary investment, my dad mumbled, staring into his plate. Kyle convinced us it was safe. I trusted you, Grandma said, voice trembling now, not with fear, but fury. I trusted you to protect that money. That was my fund. I set that up for Jordan before Kyle even got his learner's permit. I didn't raise fools and I certainly didn't raise thieves. Kyle stood up, knocking over his chair. I'm not a thief. I was trying to help the family. It wasn't just about him. If it had worked, we'd all be better off. And if it hadn't? I shouted. Oh wait, it didn't. And now I'm the one who's supposed to understand. Connor started crying. My sister-in-law whisked him out of the room like she was in a fire drill. Dad kept muttering something about, not during dinner. Mom looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. And Grandma? She stood up, walked right past the roast ham, past the centerpiece with the little ceramic bunnies, over to the antique hutch where she keeps her important paperwork, pulled out a thick manila envelope. You know the kind, the ones full of consequences. Then she turned to Kyle. You're out of the will. The silence after that hit harder than the original reveal. Kyle opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Then his face twisted into this mask of betrayal and rage, like he was the victim, like he was the one whose life had been torched on a gamble. And then, God help me, he started screaming. You manipulated her, he shrieked at me. You ruined everything. You had to make this whole Easter about you. You ungrateful little shit. And that was when Grandma did something I'll never forget. She picked up her iPad from the mantel, tapped a button. Smile, Kyle, she said. The whole family Zoom's been recording since 2:10. Kyle's meltdown hit the group chat before dessert did. By the time the carrot cake made it around the table, half our extended family had already texted some version of, what the hell happened on Easter? Because Grandma, she didn't just record the Zoom, she uploaded it, unedited, straight to our private family Facebook group with the caption, for transparency. It was like a nuclear bomb dropped on 3 generations of holiday smiles and casserole recipes. The video was brutal. You could hear every sniffle, every fork scrape, every word. Kyle's voice cracking as he screamed at a 79-year-old woman. Me, seething like my insides were made of broken glass. And Grandma, standing there like a stone pillar in a storm. The internet loves a villain. Unfortunately for Kyle, this time it wasn't a Reddit troll or some anonymous commenter. It was Aunt Linda from Tampa, who wrote, wow, guess I know who not to invite to the family beach house next year. That comment alone got 57 likes and a crying, laughing react from Uncle Mike, which sent Kyle into another spiral. The fallout came fast. That night, he showed up at my apartment. I was sitting on the couch, still trying to breathe normally when the pounding started. Not knocking, pounding. I didn't even need to check the peephole. His voice followed 2 seconds later. Open the door, you little bitch. I didn't. Instead, I texted my downstairs neighbor, Greg, who's ex-military and owns a bat. Then I called the police. From behind the door, Kyle ranted for 10 minutes straight. You think you're a hero now? Huh? You think Grandma cares about you more than me? She's just old. She doesn't understand crypto. She doesn't understand that I was doing this for everyone. At one point, he kicked the door. Full-on kick. My doorknob rattled and I flinched like it was going to burst open. I swear to God, Jordan, you ruined my life. I didn't say a word, just waited for the flashing red and blue and Greg's unmistakable boots on the stairwell. When the cops showed, Kyle tried to play it off like he'd just wanted to talk, but they'd already seen the video. My grandma posted it publicly by then. She meant to click family only, but she clicked share with friends. And let me tell you, Grandma's Facebook circle includes half the town's bingo circuit and a surprising number of retired teachers, including Kyle's high school principal. The cops told him to leave and not come back. I asked about a restraining order. They gave me paperwork. That night, Kyle made a post on his own Facebook, something about jealous siblings, cancel culture in families, and generational betrayal. He even quoted Gary V. The comments? Mostly people tagging the Easter video. But the worst part? The text I got from my mom. I can't believe you humiliated your brother like that. You've changed. She didn't say, I'm sorry. She didn't say, you were right. Just that I was the one who had changed. And maybe I had. Maybe getting your future stolen does something to your spine. Maybe watching your parents coddle the golden child while you sit in the wreckage of his decisions burns something clean in you. Maybe I had changed. And maybe it was finally time to stop pretending that being quiet meant being safe, because I was done keeping the peace. And Kyle? He was about to learn what happens when the kid he always talked over finally learned how to talk louder. It only took 3 days for Kyle to escalate again. This time, he dragged our parents with him. I was at work, double shift at the bookstore, because, surprise, state school didn't magically become free overnight, when I got a call from my landlord. Apparently, a family member had come by asking about me, loudly, refused to leave until someone explained how to get into Jordan's place. Guess who? Kyle, flanked by my mom, both of them looking like they were about to stage a protest over stolen crypto rights. According to the landlord, Kyle accused me of hiding the truth and turning the family against him. My mom just kept saying, we need to speak with him. We just need to talk. I got home that night and found a note taped to my door. Sloppy handwriting, torn lined paper. You're tearing this family apart. If you don't take down that video and apologize to Kyle, we'll have no choice but to cut contact. Think about what you're doing. Love. Mom. I stared at it for a full minute before laughing. Not because it was funny, because it felt like someone had dropped me into a bad sitcom. Only this sitcom had gaslighting, financial sabotage, and emotional blackmail. Here's what they didn't know. Grandma had already updated her will, not just removed Kyle, she added me. As in, I now had partial oversight of the trust fund she used to manage for all her grandkids. That includes Connor, Kyle's kid. I didn't ask for that. I didn't want it. But Grandma said she needed someone with a spine. I didn't feel like I had one. But apparently outing your brother as a crypto clown on Easter counts. So now I had this ugly truth in my lap. Kyle didn't just blow my future. He put his son's future at risk too. And the person trying to protect it was now me. That night, I called Grandma. I think he's going to do something stupid, I said. Like, really stupid. She was quiet for a beat. Then we'll make sure he never gets the chance. I didn't know what she meant. Not until the next morning when she called me back and asked if I could be at her lawyer's office at noon. She had files, records, receipts. Turns out, Kyle had tried to access Connor's education account the year before, claimed it was to check the balance. But there was an attempted withdrawal logged, $5,000. Blocked only because Grandma had a fail-safe clause that required 2 signatures on any withdrawal above $1,000. He never told anyone, not even his wife. Grandma handed me the paper. Do you still think you ruined Easter? She asked. No, I didn't. But I did realize something else. Kyle was cornered. He'd lost the money, the will, the public narrative. Now the only card he had left was chaos. And chaos was his specialty. I just didn't know yet that he'd try to weaponize Connor next. Update 1. Okay. So first off, I just want to say thank you for all the comments. Seriously. The DMs, the Team Grandma memes, even the guy who said, this is like Succession but with deviled eggs. You guys made me feel like I wasn't crazy. Like maybe blowing up Easter dinner wasn't me being petty. It was finally me snapping out of denial. But now I owe you the wildest follow-up yet. Because Kyle went nuclear. So remember how Grandma put me on Connor's education trust? I thought that would just make Kyle sulk and maybe disappear for a while. But no. The man decided to turn his 4-year-old son into a human guilt trip. 2 days ago, his wife, Emily, called me. We've never been close, but she sounded shaky, like voice trembling, trying not to cry shaky. Jordan, she said, I didn't know where else to turn. Kyle had told her everything. Well, his version, that I'd manipulated Grandma, that I was trying to steal his son's future, that the trust was a conspiracy to make him look like a deadbeat. He told Emily that I was trying to cut Connor off completely. And then, he brought Connor to Grandma's house, unannounced. Middle of the afternoon, Kyle shows up, holding Connor like a prop, standing on the front porch yelling, Tell him to his face, Grandma. Tell my son he's not worth your money. Grandma, bless her steel spine, opened the door and calmly said, Connor is worth everything. You're not. Then she closed it. Kyle screamed, like Farrell screamed. Neighbors came out. He punched the mailbox. Connor started crying. That same night, Kyle made an Instagram story, tagged Grandma, tagged me, called us both toxic manipulators, and said Connor was being used as a pawn in a family vendetta. He even posted a screenshot of the will, redacted, but you could still see my name listed where his used to be. He wanted attention? He got it, because the next day, Grandma's lawyer filed for a restraining order against Kyle. He's not allowed within 100 feet of her property, not allowed to contact me either. I've got legal documentation now. And get this, Emily? She took Connor and left. Yup, she left him. She messaged me this morning, said she's staying with her sister and she's done protecting a grown man who throws tantrums and weaponizes their child. I told her she's not alone. Reddit, I'm still shaking. I started this thinking I'd lost everything, my future, my family, but maybe I just lost the illusion and gained something better. Truth, boundaries, a grandma who makes Machiavelli look like a rookie. I'll update again soon. There's more happening behind the scenes. But just know, Kyle, he started a fire. He didn't realize Grandma kept receipts in a fireproof safe. The house looked different without the porch light. That's how I knew Emily was gone. She used to leave it on every night, even if they got home late. So Connor knows he's safe, she once told me. But now, darkness. The front door shut like a mouth clamped tight, curtains drawn like the house was trying to disappear into itself. Kyle was in there alone. And when I say alone, I mean alone in the kind of way that makes unstable people start pacing, spiraling, breaking things. I knew that look. I'd seen it once when he lost his job at the marketing startup and punched his own laptop in our parents' garage. So I should have known better than to go. But I did. I wasn't there to fight. I just wanted to return something. Connor's blanket, the one with the blue sharks. Emily had left it at Grandma's by accident when she picked him up. Kid couldn't sleep without it. I should have left it at the door. But Kyle must have been watching from the window because the second I stepped onto the porch, the door ripped open. You think you're the hero now? He snapped, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. You think this is your moment? You ruined everything. My business, my family, my son. Emily left because of you, I said, holding the blanket up like a white flag. I'm just here to drop this off. That's it. He slapped it out of my hand. The blanket hit the steps like a dead bird. You don't get to act noble, he snarled, stepping closer. You humiliated me in front of everyone. Grandma, the cousins, the whole King family. You think I'll let you just walk around like you're better than me? I didn't say anything. Just looked at him. That made him snap harder. He shoved me, not hard enough to knock me down, but hard enough to tell me exactly where his head was. That's when I realized something. He didn't want to hurt me. He wanted me to hit him, to blow it, to give him a new narrative. The poor guy, provoked, pushed, just defending himself. But I didn't move. You done? I asked, voice calm even though my pulse was screaming. Kyle stared at me, chest heaving, jaw tight. Then he laughed, low and bitter. You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Be Grandma's little legacy boy. But don't come crying to me when this all burns down. You're not ready for the real world, Jordan. You're just a smug little brat playing grown-up. You'll screw up too. And when you do, he leaned in close. I'll be waiting. I picked up the blanket, turned my back on him, walked down the steps without saying another word. I didn't know it yet, but Kyle was waiting. And the next move he made? He wasn't coming for me directly. He was going to try and take Grandma down through the one thing she still loved more than anything. Her garden. It started with footprints. Tiny ones first, in the mulch, around the hydrangeas, like a kid had wandered through. But Grandma hadn't had any visitors. Not since the restraining order. She was careful, locked everything, even stopped answering the door unless she saw your face first through the window. Then the fence gate was unlatched. Then her prized rose bush, the one she planted the day Grandpa died, was snapped at the base. Clean break. Like someone had stomped on it. She cried. That's when I knew this wasn't random. This was Kyle. I asked her if we could check the security cam. She looked up, confused. What camera? The old one had been unplugged. Cord sliced clean through behind the gutter. Quiet, precise. Not vandalism. Tactical. Kyle always hated that garden, said it was a waste of water, and weird that old people cared more about flowers than fixing the house. But that rose bush? That was sacred ground. And he knew it. 2 nights later, it escalated. I was at my apartment scrolling Reddit, of course, when my phone buzzed. 1:47 a.m. Grandma. Jordan, he's here. I was already in the car before she finished her second text. By the time I got there, the front porch light was swinging, literally swinging, and a terracotta pot lay shattered across the steps like a dropped heart. Grandma was inside, safe, doors locked, but the backyard? Wrecked. Tomato cages twisted, garden hose slashed, wind chimes ripped down and shattered, and on the fence, in red spray paint, was a single word, thief. I called the police. Again. Showed them the restraining order. Again. This time, they took it seriously. Apparently, Kyle had been fired from his job a week earlier. Word was someone sent his employer a copy of the Easter video. Not me, not Grandma, but someone. And once that happened, he spiraled. They issued a formal warning. Said he was this close to jail time. But that wasn't enough for me. Because here's what the cops couldn't see. Grandma, kneeling in the dirt, trying to replant her tulips with shaking hands. This woman raised 5 kids on a nurse's salary. She made it through cancer, buried a husband, and still made cookies from scratch every time I came over. And now, she looked small. And I realized I couldn't just defend her. I had to end this. So I made a phone call to Emily, told her everything, and she said 6 words that lit the fuse. You need to see the group chat. Apparently, Kyle had been bragging. Screenshots, photos, vague threats. One message read, maybe if someone had given me what I was owed, I wouldn't be here. Another had a picture of a lighter, captioned, bet those flowers burn easy. And right there, buried in the chaos, was the smoking gun. A selfie. Kyle, middle of the night, standing in Grandma's backyard, smiling. To be continued. And let's just say, next time, the revenge is no longer symbolic. It's official, it's public, and it's glorious. Update 2. Okay, Reddit. Remember how some of y'all said I should go full scorched earth? Expose him. Ruin him. Take the bastard down publicly. Well, Grandma did it first. And she didn't just go scorched earth. She live-streamed the fucking arson asterisk. Let me explain. After Kyle's little midnight backyard crime spree, I gave Emily the screenshots. She handed them straight to the cops. But she didn't stop there. Oh no. Apparently, while Kyle was spray painting fences and smashing garden gnomes, he was also dodging child support payments. Emily went straight to family court with everything. The video, the vandalism, the restraining order, and evidence that Kyle had drained the account they'd set aside for Connor's preschool. That alone was enough to launch a full custody review. Judge fast-tracked it. But Grandma? Grandma had a plan of her own. See, the local community board hosts this online show called Porch Talk, a live stream where local seniors talk recipes, garden tips, and town gossip. It's like if a neighborhood Facebook group became sentient and bought a ring light. Guess who was the guest of the week? Grandma. The title of the episode? What Happens When Family Fails You? A Cautionary Tale. She didn't name Kyle outright, but she didn't have to. She told the entire story, every detail. The college fund, the Easter reveal, the vandalism, the betrayal, all while sitting next to her broken rosebush in a rocking chair like some kind of vengeance-soaked oracle. Over 4,000 views in 2 days. Comments exploded. Turns out, Kyle had pitched crypto scams to at least 3 people in town, including his old guidance counselor. One woman said he promised her double returns in 90 days if she used her pension. Guess what? She never saw a dime. By the time the episode made its way onto local news, yes, local effing news, Kyle's name was poison. His landlord evicted him. His car, co-signed by our dad, was repossessed. And Emily? She got full custody of Connor. No visitation. Judge said Kyle posed an emotional and financial danger. He showed up at my work yesterday, hoodie pulled up, face sunburnt, like he hadn't slept in a week. You ruined me, he muttered. I just looked at him and said, "Number you did. I just stopped letting you lie about it." He didn't reply, just turned and walked away. That night, Grandma sent me a text. "The garden's blooming again. Thanks to you." I'm not religious, but damn if that didn't feel like a benediction. So yeah, he gambled my future. I told Grandma the truth, and in the end, she planted revenge like a seed, watered it with grace, and let the whole town watch it bloom. Stay petty, my friends. It was strange. The quiet that followed. No more late-night banging on my door. No more cryptic threats. No more cursed family group texts begging us to come together for healing. Just silence, like the moment after a storm when the sky's still bruised but the wind finally dies. But it didn't feel peaceful. It felt eerie, like the calm wasn't earned. It was just waiting. And then, just as the dust began to settle, Kyle did what Kyle always does, found a way to make things worse. This time, by going public. A podcast. I wish I was joking. He started a podcast, called it Bloodline Betrayal, full of low-rent production, dramatic music, and Kyle whispering like he's dropping government secrets. In the very first episode, he calls himself a crypto martyr and says he was financially assassinated by generational sabotage. He named me, called me a manipulative little snake with a martyr complex, called Grandma a narcissistic cult leader in pearls, called Emily a gold digger who used his child as a chess piece. I didn't know whether to scream or laugh, but Grandma? She didn't flinch. Instead, she sent me a photo, just a casual snap of her in the garden. Sun hat, gloves, fresh soil under her nails. Caption, "Let him talk. That's all he has now. We have roots." And she was right, because the podcast, it bombed. 1-star reviews flooded in. Someone uploaded the Easter video as a response episode. Another person dubbed over Kyle's ranting with clown music. By the end of the week, it was trending in a subreddit called r/delusional fails. Still, he kept going. Desperation is a hell of a drug, and Kyle was high on it. But his next move? It wasn't online. It was legal. He filed a petition to reverse Grandma's will, claimed she was manipulated by a vengeful grandchild under duress. He tried to argue mental instability, citing her erratic behavior and online smear campaigns. It was so transparent. Even the clerk at the courthouse rolled their eyes. But the worst part? He served the papers on Mother's Day, had the audacity to send them straight to her porch with a bouquet of wilting carnations and a note that said, "We can still fix this." I saw red. I drove to his apartment. New place, trashy complex, barely held together by duct tape and denial. I didn't knock. I didn't even speak. I just walked up, looked him dead in the eye and said, "You keep pushing. You're going to find out what I look like when I stop playing fair." He laughed. "You've already done your worst." "No," I said quietly. "You have." And then I walked away. What he didn't know? Grandma was already a step ahead. Again, because this time, the revenge, it wasn't emotional or symbolic. It was legal. And it was final. You ever see someone walk into court like they're about to host a bake sale? That was Grandma, matching turquoise pantsuit, pearls, cane in one hand, thick legal folder in the other, calm as a surgeon, polite as a church greeter. But underneath, that woman was locked and loaded. Kyle showed up looking like he'd just rolled out of a Reddit conspiracy thread. Rumpled blazer, sunglasses indoors, hair like he styled it with a blender. His new lawyer looked like a guy who got kicked out of Phoenix online. I was there too, sitting behind Grandma, hands clenched so tight my nails left marks. I was ready for this to be awful, messy, embarrassing. Kyle dragging her through the mud just to claw back a few scraps of her money. But what happened? What happened was biblical. See, Grandma didn't just defend herself, she countersued for defamation, emotional distress, vandalism, trespassing, child endangerment. She had photos, security reports, screenshots, social media posts, and sworn statements from neighbors who'd seen Kyle on her property during the vandalism spree. Oh, and then there was the coup de grace, a notarized affidavit from Emily stating that Kyle had confessed to everything in the podcast being exaggerated or fabricated. She even submitted texts where he said, "Don't worry, no one listens to that boomer trash channel anyway." The judge barely let Kyle's side speak. The ruling? Petition to reverse the will, denied. Restraining order, extended to 5 years. And Kyle, ordered to pay Grandma's legal fees plus damages. He stood there frozen. Couldn't speak, couldn't move, like the weight of his own bullshit finally crashed down all at once. Then, just as the bailiff told him to sit down, he muttered, "This is fucking insane." And the judge didn't even look up, just said, "What's insane is thinking you could bully a 79-year-old woman who outmaneuvered you at every turn. You should have stuck with crypto. At least then your losses were digital." The courtroom snorted. The stenographer literally had to pause typing. Afterwards, outside the courthouse, Grandma took my arm, smiled for a photo someone's cousin snapped, and whispered, "Let that be a lesson. Never gamble against a woman who lived through 4 recessions and 1 cheating husband." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. It's been 3 weeks since the ruling. Kyle's podcast is gone. His social media is silent. Emily's filing for full custody with no contest. And Grandma? She's planting a new rosebush. She named it Resilience. Says it blooms blood red. And me? I'm enrolled in college this fall. Full ride. Grandma made sure of it. Turns out the best revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. Rooted, blooming, unshakable. Like a rosebush no idiot brother can ever stomp again.